watch one more video.
Another week, another episode of the...
I gotta be honest with you. I'm only gonna watch this review by Critical Drinker. Not because I care or even want to watch the Netflix live action of The Last of Us. I'm just using this as an excuse to shit on The Last of Us 2, which I have not played to this day, and I will never play. The Last of Us was a one video game, and from what I hear, was also a one season show that literally ended right then and there. Joel just took Ellie and drove off into the sunset, and you can make up the rest of the story of when he woke up, whatever lie he told her. That is the beginning and the end of that. There was never a sequel to the movie, to the game, or to the show. Just shut up, didn't exist. Nothing happened.
Another episode of The Last of Us to get through.
They really had the chance to change the way. They really had a chance to what a thumbnail. They really had a chance to change the story of The Last of Us Part 2, and they apparently just stuck with the same stupid story and failed twice. How do you die twice?
And I say it that way because that's exactly what this show is starting to feel like for me. Homework. Some mildly unpleasant tasks to be completed as quickly as possible instead of a rollicking...
I like that guy! Isn't he like a Mexican guy, right? This Mexican guy plays a really good white guy, I'm not gonna lie.
Piece of entertainment that I can't wait to experience week after week. And apparently, I'm not the only one to feel this way, as the show's lost almost 20% of its audience by episode 3, and...
Yeah, I could've told you that was gonna happen, based off of the fact that everyone hated it when The Last of Us 2 did it for the video game. Like, did they not, like, look up how people took that? People hated it!
And its Rotten Tomatoes
and it's stupid.
Plummeted to just 49%, officially marking it as rotten for the...
Literally, literally, Joel, the main character that you love, gets freaking beaten to death. And then Ellie, who's supposed to love Joel and care for him, just becomes best friends with his killer. And that's it. Then they go on adventures.
Golly gee
so
whiz,
stupid.
I wonder what could have possibly caused this.
I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
The thing is, almost everyone knew this was coming. Everyone who played the games knew that killing off Joel was going to put the show into a death spiral that it would struggle to pull out of, as the narrative devolved into a grimly sadistic misery simulator where every major character dies or ends up broken and alone. Everyone who watched season 1 could have told you that Bella Ramsey's Ellie wasn't going to be able to carry a show like this without Pedro Pascal there to support her. Everyone
Pedro,
knew this
that's
was
his name.
coming, except for HBO,
Pascal.
apparently.
I'm not gonna lie, the only reason I didn't say his name is because I didn't want to accidentally say Pasquale, which is the pizzeria guy from Chuck E. Cheese.
The definition of insanity is
Pasquale!
doing the same thing again and again and expecting
Ooh, I want some
different
Chuck E. Cheese
results.
pizza
And
now.
if that's the case, then I think Neil Druckmann needs an intervention pronto because...
In technical terminology, he's a loon.
But from a writing point of view, I think it's actually worth explaining why killing off Joel was such a massive mistake, both in the games and in the show, because this ties into a much bigger issue about character relationships and the importance of having balance and contrast in your stories. And the reality here is that without Joel, The Last of Us has no emotional heart anymore. See, the first game, and to some extent the first season of The Last of Us, both successfully tapped into one of the most compelling and universal character dynamics in all of fiction. The bond between a father and his daughter. Yeah, it was definitely an unconventional version of that relationship. Ellie wasn't really Joel's daughter, and they didn't even meet each other until she was an adult.
And honestly, that's kind of the reason why it stuck so hard. It's because it's like this friendship and this bond that's formed pretty much through sacrifice, through loss, through pain, through suffering. You get what I'm saying?
Adolescent, but the all-important dynamic was still the same. Joel was the experienced protector and father figure, and Ellie was the young and vulnerable daughter that he had to guide, protect, and watch over. He was jaded, cynical, and pragmatic, hardened by a lifetime of tough choices and brutal survival, while she was idealistic and maybe a touch naive, eager to see the world without knowing much about how dangerous it could really be out there. Obviously, she was no match for him physically because he was a grown man and she was a little girl, and if anything, she's actually a burden on him at first. She doesn't know much about hunting or survival, she makes a lot of mistakes that almost get them both killed, and despite all her bullshit and bravado, she's actually pretty scared and intimidated by the world around her. It made for a great contrast, allowing them to spark off each other, provoke and challenge each other, and grow and develop in interesting ways. Because of Joel, Ellie gradually learns how to look after herself, how to survive in a harsh and unforgiving world, to the point where she even has to step up and become a protector for him when he's badly wounded. And because of
I can't do. The more you talk, Critical Drinker, the more you make me want to go back to this game. You feel me? I want to go back and play The Last of Us now. Oh my goodness, that game was so freaking good. And not only that, dude, just the set pieces, the exploring of the environments. Kind of concerned that there might be the freaking clickers around any corner. And it's like, even if there's not a clicker, if it's another person, the panic that could, not only the panic that you feel, but the panic at like, if you all know which scene I'm talking about, especially in the snow, the panic of what could happen when any of these freaking, like, psychopaths get their hands on Ellie, who's just, basically just a little girl. Like, it's one thing if a woman is like, in a survival situation. It's a woman. At the very least, they can act like a guy, like a freaking adult. But a little girl, like, no matter what, you get what I'm saying? And even then, you know, but you get, it just adds this extra layer of, like, I feel like genetic caveman DNA that's just like, no hurt, little girl. Like, you get me? Like, you're just like pissed off, and it does everything about it. The game really pulls at your heartstrings, especially with that opening sequence. So you kind of already have that sort of, like, you know, I'm not gonna spoil it for you if y'all haven't played it yet, but like, if you know what I'm talking about, the reason why Joel gets so attached to Ellie, you get me? Like, damn, bro.
Ellie, Joel's demeanor slowly softens as he warms to her and starts to see her as more than just a package that has to be delivered to a destination. He begins to see her as someone he genuinely cares about, a surrogate for the daughter that he lost 20 years earlier. Joel brings out Ellie's inner strength, while Ellie brings out Joel's humanity. In a neat piece of narrative give and take, they each fill gaps in the other's life. The show mostly managed to replicate this dynamic in Season 1 despite its best efforts, and the reason I say that is that you can tell they did everything in their power to toughen Ellie up and break Joel down, bending the dynamic as far as they could possibly go without breaking it. The Ellie in the show was much more confident, assertive and capable right from the start, easily taking control of conversations and disagreements, rarely showing any fear of Joel or the world around them, frequently disobeying his instructions and mouthing off at him as if a 50-year-old man with a gun that she barely knows is the kind of guy you'd want to risk pissing off. TV Joel, on the other hand, is...
Yeah, see, that's the kind of stuff that makes me want to go back to play the game. Because the game was really good, and the game was really awesome, and it was such a great story, and the game was really... I'm just saying, it was different writers, different times.
Is much less decisive, capable, and...
It seems like the Netflix one might be a little bit more for the modern audience
than his game counterpart, even at the beginning of their journey together. He suffers from panic attacks, he's starting to struggle physically and often seems to be at a loss for what to do next. He frequently gets flustered and outmaneuvered in conversations with Ellie, and he even defers to her when it comes to making decisions, as if a 12-year-old girl who's never been outside the walls of her hometown is the kind of person you should listen to in a life or death situation.
I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
I really like this meme.
Ellie has a lot less to learn from Joel than her game counterpart, that she needs him less. There's less of a contrast between them, so the father-daughter dynamic is weakened considerably. It's not destroyed completely, but it's far inferior to the game, and that's not even taken into...
I mean, I don't necessarily hate that, especially in, like, that world. Potentially Ellie may have, like, been forced to learn how to, like, survive more. Though, like, from what we do learn about her, potentially not, you know, but still, regardless, I don't mind that necessarily, as long as you still hit those, like, story beats, you know, and hit those emotional beats.
To account all the shameless political pandering the show indulges in.
Communism.
Nah, it ain't like that.
It is that, literally. This is a commune. We're communists.
This place actually fucking works.
They really gotta, like, it's really, like, they really gotta turn everything into a freaking political message. It's like, stop. Why? Can we just freaking enjoy the freaking... It's like, it's not that it's a big deal. I don't care if you're for or against communism. Screw it. I don't care what your opinion is. Nobody does. That's the point. But when you start to like so obviously try to put it in the movies and the shows so freaking ridiculously obviously that it's just like you sort of stop living in the world. You stop enjoying like, oh, I'm in the movie, I'm watching the movie, I'm in this world, we're seeing how the world, the dynamics of it. You know, I'm in Star Wars, I'm freaking watching the Star Wars. We get to see how the Padawans are in the background learning and practicing the Jedi swords while these guys are talking about the freaking like the current global political situation. And you feel like you're in the world. You feel like it's you get what I'm saying? And then you start to like throw stuff like that, and it's just like, all right, you pulled me out. You pulled me out of the world. I'm no longer immersed. I'm not there anymore. You reminded me that we're living in a freaking stupid, like, 2025, and everyone's freaking marching in the freaking streets while people are trying to get to work, you know? You get what I'm saying? It's like, why?
Just pulls together and does their part.
We're trying to escape the real world.
For all of us. To find out more about how you can get involved, contact your local political
Yeah,
commissar
exactly.
now.
It feels like a PSA.
Still, it was enough to keep audiences happy with season 1 of the show. That, however, is gone now. Joel's dead, and instead Ellie is left with Dina to play off of. And well, that's a whole different dynamic that's considerably less interesting. Why? Because there's no contrast between these two characters. They're about the same age, the same gender, and roughly the same level of experience and competence. Even their personalities are broadly similar.
So you're basically just watching two homegirls hanging out.
Yeah, Ellie's a bit more serious and focused.
Just backpacking through the country.
And playful, but there's really not that much of a difference between them. Joel and Ellie's relationship wasn't just a broken man and a frightened girl trying to find a way to connect with each other. It was a clash of different generations and worldviews. Joel, who still remembered the old world before the collapse, and Ellie, who was born into the new world but still has to experience it. Joel's maturity and experience versus Ellie's youthful passion and curiosity. Ellie and Dina don't have any of that because they're so similar. It's more like watching a person talking to themselves. Their scenes come across as flat.
Well, I do love that a part of the costume was like the turned down flashlight.
Dull and tedious, and
so
not
you
just
had the
because
free
the actors
hand.
don't have much chemistry together. Neither of them has anything
Who's out there, baby? Who
particularly
you barking at?
interesting or insightful to say. They don't offer contrasting opinions drawn from different life experiences. They don't even have different physical capabilities that might offer some kind of contrast in how they approach situations. They're just two asshole teenagers meandering through the world, swapping shitty jokes and speculating about stuff that they don't really understand. And how can I put this? Teenagers aren't exactly the most interesting people you'll ever meet, and for obvious reasons. They haven't seen and done enough to mold them into interesting.
Well, it can be very interesting how freaking random and chaotic they can be. And unpredictable.
Yeah, they're more like houses that have just been moved into. Yeah, the potential is there, but there's none of the interesting decoration or personality that builds up over time. In fact, when you think about it, the three main characters in this show now are all pretty similar. They're the same gender, roughly the same age range, the same size and build, and the same level of experience. Again, there's no real contrast between them, and so there's less to get interested and invested in. It also means that this show is badly missing gravitas. Like it or not, there's a certain kind of authority and charisma and command that only older men possess. Young guys don't have it and women don't have it, and when you erase it from a narrative, you'll lose that sense of believability and gravity that a show like The Last of Us is desperately striving for. It doesn't have it now, and you won't find it with characters like Ellie, Abby, and Dina. All of this
What,
is no longer
relatability?
a way of saying that killing off Joel was a huge mistake in the games, and it's likely to be just as damaging to the TV show. Not only was it a shitty way to kill off such a popular character, but his death leaves behind a narrative hole that nobody else is capable of filling. They really did try the same thing as before, and surprise, surprise, they got the same fucking result. And they really have
no, genuinely, I really thought they were gonna change this. I really did. I still haven't played the second game when I found out about this.
Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Genuinely, to this day, refuse to freaking play it. Refuse to play the game. It doesn't exist. It's not real. It's not real. There is no Last of Us 2 in Ba Sing Se. You can lie all you want, but you're lying to yourself. It don't exist. Ayoo, Monodachis! Thank you so much for watching this video. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You can also find links to the videos that we reacted to today down in the description below, along with my Oshi marks. I'll see you in the next video, Monos. Goodbye, and thank you so much for swinging by. Saru!